Laura Sassi has had a fulfilling teaching career before becoming a children's author. She has a passion for telling stories in prose and rhyme. She's so good at it and has written several books for young children, including bestsellers. And the last time she joined us on the Wednesday Bookmark, we discussed her My Tender Heart prayer book, and she has been working on the devotions since then, and now they're here. So here she is with My Tender Heart devotions. Welcome back, Laura.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here and so nice to be on the other side of writing this. I loved writing it, but it's so nice to have the book out in the world.
Yes. And I want to know, how did you stay inspired when writing this biggest book in your whole series, 112 pages, which is amazing for young kids. And we'll get to that. But yeah, what keeps you inspired with these processes?
I would just say, going back to what this is it's a collection of 52 devotions, and each one begins with a fun, kid-friendly poem about a concrete object or just a familiar experience to a young child. And then that is the spark that then connects the Bible verse to the devotion and to the little message. So looking at I got to do what I love doing best, looking at the world around me and seeing how I could see God in that moment. So that alone was just inspiring. This was my quiet time for when I was working on this. I did it first thing in the morning, and I prayed, Lord, what do you have for me today? What do you have for the kids today? And it was invigorating. I loved every moment of it.
And it's like, open my eyes to see something and then use it to teach about you. And I think that's something that as parents, we want to do. We want everyday conversation with our kids to be, oh, see this, person walking across the street. Let's use this as a Bible lesson. And so what you've done is you've provided a tool for parents, but also you're getting readers and parents into this habit of doing that, of seeing real life things. So can you give some examples of these objects or these experiences that you got inspiration from?
And I hope it does inspire parents to do just that. So, for example, you probably have I know you have a lot of deer in Canada. So we have a lot of deer that actually come into our neighborhood here. And on a couple of occasions, when my kids were little and since, we've seen a little baby fawn just sitting in the grass. And at first I was concerned, but then I learned that that's what the mama deer do. They put the baby there, the fawn, and then they go and they get food and the baby rests. And so and the mama is always watching from nearby. So that was a spark. That's what God does with us. We're like the baby fawn, and we can't see God. The baby fawn doesn't see his mama, but the baby fawn knows that mama is right there. And then I tied it in with a verse from Joshua about the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. So that's in a nutshell, one of them.
Yeah. I mean,
another example, we have a lot of squirrels around here. So the squirrels are always bearing the acorns. And so that was the spark for taking God's word and treasuring it up in your heart so that when you come to tough times, you can, just like that squirrel goes and finds all those nuts that he buried in the fall, you can find God's word stored in your heart and be refreshed and find his presence, that kind of thing. So those are just two examples. So I came up with 52 of those.
I love it. I can't believe it. 52. And that'll get us through the whole year if you do one a week.
Right.
What can we do as parents then to kind of carry through from one week to the next, from one reading to the next? Any suggestions?
Well, I would say be on the lookout. Use that, whatever that week when you choose, use that as inspiration to look for other God moments during the week. And one thing I've learned from my kids, and just kids love reading things again and again. So just because you read it one night, read it again. Do something a little different with it the next night. Each one has a heart moment of response, and some of those are activities. So maybe they can draw a picture or make a card or play a game. And so you can extend it that way. So
I love the heart moments. They're that object lesson, that hands-on, really like making it sink in. Can you share again kind of the backstory of these heart moments, where they came from?
Okay. Yeah. So when my kids were little, we liked to read a Bible story together in the evening before bed. And at the end, I would always try to connect it to something to them so that it would touch their hearts. And so the idea of the heart moment is that our response to God's love, when we see it told in a Bible story or in a God moment when you're out, your heart can't help but respond to that. And that's the heart moment. I want kids to have, and grownups too, we need to have that heart moment. It's just, that's where you come before the Lord and wow, and you're just so awestruck. So each in the whole series, the Tender Heart Bible, the My Tender Heart Prayer Book, and then this one, there are heart moments.
Now, in this particular one, you already touched on this, but each devotion has a little poem. And again, you're rhyming. Okay, you know what? I'm going to stop here and ask you about this rhyming, because you have this way of having fresh, original rhyming words. Like, you're not just rhyming day with say in May. Like, you always just find it. What happens? What do you do when you get stuck on a word in a poem?
Well, I just try to think of it in a different way. I try not to let the rhyme be I try to say what I want to say.
Okay.
And then see if I can make it rhyme instead of being decided upon, I'm going to use sun and run, and then I'm kind of stuck. Maybe it's something bright or glowing, or you come up with different words. I'm a list maker. I make a grocery list, and I make, when I'm writing rhyming poems, I make, and any kind of writing, I do lists, word lists. So I get really excited about a fresh rhyme.
So do I. I'm like, I want to applaud you every time I see one that's super creative. I'm like, yes, Laura, like, this is so good. Okay, so let's go back to the breakdown. So again, you've got a poem, a brief poem. You've got a takeaway with a Bible passage, that heart moment, the prayer. Okay. You keep these nice and short, so important for young kids. Why, though, is it important for young kids, even babies to 6-year-olds, to be doing devotions? Because we do these as adults, but is it hard to get little kids to do it? And why is it important that we make this part of our routine?
Well, one, it's not hard because in fact, I think a devotional is a really good way to introduce them, because it is it's just a little taste. It's just the little first taste. You're reading a Bible verse, and then there's a poem that it's just a great introduction. They're not too little. I made these poems really short. I picked Bible passages that were concrete. And I think it's important because it's never too young to start planting those seeds of faith. And the things we learn as children are the things. It's such a great opportunity to plant those seeds while the hearts are still tender, and you go back and you remember those things. And even if someone walks away from their faith, they're always going to have those first memories, those things they did with their mother or their dad or their aunt or their uncle or someone that loved them, and they sat and they were sharing God's love with them. They're always going to have that. And you never know how God's going to use that down the road.
Well, our family loves the Tender Heart Prayer Book, and now we're going to get this one to add to the collection. Yay! Again, it's for 0 to 6-year-olds, 52. You can read them in any order. Mm-hmm. And like you said, I like that they're short because you can read them and still do a bedtime story, right? It's not,
absolutely.
So which is great for that. I want to encourage our listeners to mytenderbooks.com. You've got some downloads there. Oh, pardon me, mytenderheartbooks.com. Do you want to quickly, as we wrap up, just overview some of the resources? Because I love that there's more to go with this.
Okay. Yes. So every My Tender Heart book has an activity kit to go with it. And those have free printables that are really fun and hands-on. So for the devotions, there's a bookmark, and it's 2-sided. And then kids love a bookmark. I mean, my gosh, it has 112 pages. You need a bookmark. And they can check off as they go. And then it has different, just easy activities to go with them. There's an activity where you make bunny ears, and it goes with the bunny ears poem. And there's some other activities, printables that pair with activities. But all the Tender Heart books have those that go with it. And they might inspire you to do some other things. It's just an easy, quick way if you're looking for something. So
yeah, just to go a little bit beyond just the reading of the book. But yeah, it's so good. I'm always entertained by the books, and there's lots in there. And again, you're so good. I feel like I brag about you so much about your poem ability, your rhyming ability, but appreciate it. It's always fun to chat with you too. Laura Sassi, My Tender Heart Devotions, now available. Thank you.
Thank you.